My name is Tyler Dow. I'm the general manager here at Noe Restaurant at the Omni Hotel in Los Angeles. We're going to do a little series of vignettes for you describing some old cocktails, how they're made, and the interesting stories that are involved with them. I think that a lot of folks have an idea of what it is that we do when we talk about mixology. It's a bit of a dirty word amongst the bartenders these days, but nevertheless, when we talk about these old classic cocktails, they think that they understand what it is that we're talking about. But when they've had a chance to understand the history and where these drinks have come from and what role they play in describing our history, I think they're kind of surprised. As you may or may not know, like jazz music or blue jeans, the cocktail is a uniquely American concept. It's something that we've given to the rest of the world. We created it here, we perfected it to a certain extent, and then have now shared it with the rest of the world. And for a few years there during Prohibition, we kind of lost our way. We lost a lot of our bartenders, we lost a lot of our products. As you probably know, bartending is one of the true apprenticeship businesses where people such as myself learn from people who have come before us, who have spent many years learning their craft and perfecting their trade. Some people have an idea of what we talk about when we talk about Prohibition era cocktails. They think that they understand what it is in terms of flavor profiles and what it is that we're creating. But it's kind of an interesting experience to watch them as their eyes light up and they taste one of these old creations for the first time. It really is a completely new take for a lot of folks on what drinking is about and these old classic spirits. So stick around and let's see what it is we can do here today. Welcome. All right, so we're gonna make an old fashioned for you. The first thing to know is the reason why this is called an old fashioned. This cocktail dates back to about 1860 or so, and what it was a means for adults to get their herbs, the health benefits from the bitters. Here what I've done is I've taken a sugar cube and doused it in a little bit of Angostura bitters, just enough. I put it on top of the napkin, so there's just enough that goes onto the sugar cube and not too much. What we have here is a collection of 4 ingredients. That's actually how the term cocktail was defined originally. The 4 ingredients are the spirit, sugar, water, and bitters. In this case, the water is a little bit of soda water to help the sugar dissolve initially, because sugar does not dissolve very well in alcohol. And also you get some dilution from the ice as the drink is stirred to chill it, to bring it to temperature. A small amount of the ice will melt and further dilute. Just like in Scotland, when you have your scotch with a little thimble full of water, just a little bit of water helps to reduce the proof of the alcohol enough. Otherwise, your tongue, your taste buds will be stunned a little bit by the alcohol and won't really register all of the nuances of the flavor of the spirit. Today we'll be using Buffalo Trace bourbon. I'm a big fan of this product. That's your all bubbled in there. I add about 2 1/3 ounces of bourbon. So plenty of fresh ice and a nice stir to chill and dilute the drink. Notice there's not a lot of noise. The noise would be created by ice banging together and over diluting this drink. The key is to have just the right amount of dilution without over diluting and yet having a properly chilled drink. Let's just finish with 2 things. Garnish with the zest of an orange. I use a traditional vegetable peeler. Smash the orange oils over the top of the drink. Cherry. Here we have the original old fashioned. Cheers. So I thought I'd prepare for you an aviation cocktail. This is one of my favorites. This dates from about 1916. Really a kind of an interesting drink. It has a great history to it. The aviation, like all the cocktails of the era, is made up of 4 ingredients. A few little changes on what those ingredients are, but the basic principles are that we have a cocktail comprised of gin, maraschino liqueur, which is an Italian liqueur made up from maraschino cherries. We also have some fresh lemon juice and also a thing called creme de violette, which is where the plot thickens in this story. When we had the great experiment in the 1820s and early 30s, Prohibition, not only do we lose a lot of our bartenders and their knowledge, but we also lost a lot of products. Products simply went out of business. The recipes were lost to the sands of time, in most cases never to return again. The creme de violette is one of those exact products. So for many years, if you were to walk into a bar and ask the bartender for an aviation, most of them would stare at you blankly, not knowing what that drink was. But the ones that did know would simply omit the creme de violette because it was no longer available for you. The story goes that in the early 2000s, some folks were demolishing a farmhouse in Belgium, and in the basement they came across a box of alcohol, as many of us have in our basements, I suppose. And included in that box was an original unopened bottle of creme de violette. They were able to then run that through a gas chromatograph, find out what the ingredients were, and then reverse engineer creme de violette. And the result is, in about 2007, for the first time in many years, a bottle of pretty much original recipe creme de violette was produced, which allowed us to return to the original recipe. Of the aviation cocktail. The aviation cocktail, so named, we believe, because of the beautiful color that it is. There are a lot of different ways that people have been known to garnish an aviation cocktail. A lot of people like to use a maraschino cherry. Some people like to use a little bit of lemon zest. And I fall into that category. But I like to spice mine up a little bit. So a little flame lemon zest, I think, makes all the difference. So here we have the original recipe, 1916 aviation cocktail.